Welcome to the playoffs, everybody. I'm Wyatt Watson with Frontstretch, back again for another episode of Through the Gears by myself today for one of the biggest races of the year, the Southern 500. And I am thrilled and excited for I believe the final crown jewel of the season. And it's going to be a fun experience this week, and hopefully we can cash in on bets. We were so close. So close. If you watched it on our watch party, you saw that Cole Custer almost got the 100-1 to fall at Daytona. It was 80-1 when we did our show, but he was 100-1 before the green flag dropped. And right there at the end, leading at one point as well, fighting with Ryan Blaney, who ended up getting the favorite win, and that at his 11-1 number, much more drastic. 10 times less, or about 10 times the value that you could have got with a Cole Custer victory potentially. But we move on into the playoffs. It's a new beast, and it is the track too tough to tame, but we could potentially tame it and get our pocketbooks great in this one. I'm excited and thrilled to have the picks lined up, ready to go for this episode. Without further ado, let's get into it and let's see who can be a good bet in this one as we go through the gears. To start off the weekend, you have 4 at the top in this one, and it makes sense. It's very tough to gauge Darlington in a 500-mile race here at this track, and the top contenders are going to enter this race, of course, wanting to do well in the playoffs. I feel like, for one, the guy who leads these guys, at Kyle Larson, with 5.5 to 1, odds-on favorite. However, the big deal with him is that he's going into this race with zero momentum. Now, they could probably Chad Knaus this and Jimmy Johnson this and try to focus all their efforts on the playoffs and the races within it, but I'm not buying it, really. Kyle Larson has not looked great anywhere. He did look great in this race last season in the Southern 500, but William Byron dominated this race in the spring, and Byron has tended to dominate that race anyway, which makes it interesting to try to pick between one of the 4 here. Larson leading off, I don't view it as great potential, really, for him to capitalize on this race that like he has in the last couple of years. Now, granted, he's going to have a lot of time to tune this car out throughout the race, but so are his other competitors are in this one. He's a guy I'm not looking forward to betting on until we go to Bristol again. And that's a surefire bet that, yeah, Larson's going to be on my card for that. It's tough for me to have him on when you have former winners and guys that have looked great at this track farther down the list that could potentially win and cash in on their value. To look at the rest, I mentioned William Byron at 6.5 to 1. I might as well continue on with them. This track has suited William Byron in the next gen era, and he should have won here in the spring already. Granted, he got the unluckiest of breaks in pit road. Denny Hamlin, who joins him up here at 6 to 1, got the luckiest of breaks on pit road as well, and he motored off to a 10-lap sprint. It was tough to pass on the start of the runs here at Darlington, and Hamlin's been great at Darlington in the past. He's a Southern 500 winner himself. It's just a matter of, is Toyota going to hold up with their engines? Is he going to be up there and start up front? Is he going to make his way to the front? How hard is this going to be for Denny Hamlin when it comes to the weekend? 6 to 1's not bad value for him either. Again, it's just there's others I see on the list that could potentially capitalize on values that are much lower. Ryan Blaney is the imposter among this list, in my opinion. Ryan Blaney 6.5 to 1. I don't think he's has a win at Darlington in the past. He's not really competed greatly for wins at this place. He's been outdone by the likes of Byron and Larson and Hamlin at this track. 6.5's not really going to move the number for me. He even opened up at a 5 to 1 favorite. so did Larson and Byron as well, sharing those favorite odds. So it's gonna be tough to call between, I think, the other three. Blaney, I'm not on for this race. Their races are gonna come maybe later on in the playoffs, and I see the 12 team looking towards the middle to end, especially the last round at Vegas and a Talladega and a Martinsville. Phoenix obviously being the championship race for one final season. Anyway, again, Blaney not going to put any money or any thought into putting value into him unless he shows way out on practice qualifying, and even then, might be a little bit too late to board that train. Tyler Reddick 8-1 outside of the favorites, first among those outside of that. He's kind of on an island of his own. Yes, he's been great at this track. He has not had a great 2025. This is where Reddick kind of varies. I think he'll be strong in this race. I think 23XI has a great setup at this track. 8-1. I think he could also, if he had a great year, he'd be amongst the favorites to win this race. 8-1 value you could get. I could see if it was 10-1, I'd probably go for it. I think I'd wait for practice and qualifying for him. I'm not sold a lot on Tyler Reddick's value at this position. I mean, even BetMGM has him amongst the favorites at 5.5-1. You'll get your best odds at DraftKings off that 8-1 with them, but I'm just not sold. I think DraftKings is kind of right here to have him at this position, and honestly, you could probably push him even farther if you must. Then a couple other Joe Gibbs Racing guys. That's Christopher Bell and the defending Southern 500 champion Chase Briscoe, and I have my eye on Chase Briscoe. Of course, he's gonna qualify great here. I think he didn't look solid in Darlington to start, but I think he was just melding into the Joe Gibbs Racing number 19 at that point. And you've seen all summer long that he has been competing for wins week in and week out. 13-1, you can absolutely take him to the bank for this. I believe I had him on my Darlington card earlier in the season, and he ended up being a 16-1 guy. It feels like I'm echoing my list almost to a T if you remember that episode when I look back. But he's 16-1 then. He opened at 16-1. Now he's 13-1. I do like his odds still at that number, and I would be reminiscent to take him at that. Now, as for Christopher Bell, on the other hand, he hasn't gotten that win at Darlington, but he's been very close. He's led laps here. He's ran up front. Race winning pace. It's just a matter of if the equipment lasts, if he gets a good breaks, people get taken out of the race possibly. At the 12-1 number, I think it's decent, but again, it goes back to momentum. Yeah, maybe the 20 team has been saving all their stuff for this particular race. I just don't know with this team. And they haven't been able to compete for flat out wins. He got a second at Mexico City that I remember, and he just hasn't had that pace to get up front. I'm just not quite sold on the fact that Christopher Bell is going to be able to get up to the front and actually compete for the race win at Darlington and at Southern 500 this year and find his way for a victory to slot himself into the playoffs next round. So I think more Bristol is his race that he might be eyeing. Gateway, I think he could be a competitor, but here I'm sorry, probably not. Or definitely New Hampshire. I think that's the one you have to circle Bell for as a shoo-in. Not this race though. Joey Logano at 18-1 could always be sneaky. It is playoff time, but it is also an odd year. So be that as you may, he might not have the sauce this year. I don't know if he's going to have it to win the race outright. Maybe a top 10 number is more of his way of going, but I'm not quite sure with him as well. Now we get into Value Town, in my opinion, at the 20-1 numbers, and this is where you can really make your money if the cards and the race falls your way. And that's first with Bubba Wallace at 20-1. Bubba's won pole here. He's had great runs in the past as well. It's just a matter of finishing the race for this 23 team, which they did at the Brickyard 400. Now looking for another crown jewel event that they could potentially win. He's been saying this track's been circled on his calendar since he won the Brickyard 400. Well, it's time to put your money where your mouth is, Bubba. I think this could absolutely be a track where people like us listeners here on Through the Gears and myself included going into Nashville, working out there and being able to play around the betting markets out there. I think we can make solid value and cash out on a great performable loss if things work out that way. Starting pole, starting up front, and finding that speed to beat out the favorites like a Hamlin and Byron. That's the next step for Bubba. And I think now that he's had the time to focus on that, that could be something that could unlock Bubba's potential here at this track. I know he has that potential. I've seen it, and it can happen again. Chase Elliott at 20-1. It's just the fact that he hasn't won at this track in this era. I don't think at all, actually. And if I'm being honest, or if I remember correctly, Chase Elliott has kind of just been a shell of himself at this track since the Next Gen era has begun. He's one of the top finishers at this track in the Next Gen era, 6th all time on that number, but he just hasn't found that win at Darlington himself. His best career finish at this track is 3rd, and his best finish in the Southern 500 is 5th, which came all the way back in 2018. I just don't see Chase Elliott being able to find the pace that he needs to at this track and overcoming just everyone else that has found success here time in and time out or on just random occasions. So Elliott 20-1. Yeah, I think it could be more, but I don't think your money's good on the number 9 team this week. Chris Buescher and Brad Keselowski, on the other hand, in RFK Racing, all they have to race for now is just wins. There's no championship implications for either 3 of their teams. I bet Ryan Preece at the start of the year at this track. I don't think I'm going to have my eye set on the 60 team. I'm more focused on the 17 and the 6. Chris Buescher, of course, almost winning the 2024 race at the May Goodyear 400, battling with Tyler Reddick, and then ending up cutting both of their tires and paving the way for a Brad Keselowski victory, the last since we've seen Keselowski in victory lane. Both coming in 22-1, 28-1, great values for both guys. And Buescher had shown this pace as well in the Southern 500 2 years ago. If he can find it again, absolutely could be a contender. I think 22-1 is massively undervalued for this team. 22-1 is good on DraftKings and BetMGM as well. If you're wondering, 28-1 for Keselowski is best on DraftKings. I think Keselowski he's been thirsting for a win. A Southern 500 would be a statement for that team. I just don't know. I don't know about Keselowski as much as I do Buescher. And almost just as good value going for both. I think your money would be better on Buescher, in my opinion. Kyle Busch, 33-1, runner-up last year, had great pace. I mean, Dylan had great pace in Richmond. And now that it's Southern 500, Kyle Busch could possibly work on that car and get it where it was last year in pursuit of Chase Briscoe. It's tough to bet RCR right now. It's tough to even bet Kyle Busch right now at any race. And I think more of his value is in the props right now, unfortunately. And it's just hard to bet. I mean, some books like BetMGM have 18-1. FanDuel has them all the way down at 33. You could absolutely get the value right now because I don't think it's going to be any better than it is right now. But it's still a tough bet to try to bet Kyle Busch in this race. Josh Berry at 40-1. He's got a 3rd here with Storehouse Racing, but he did not show the pace in this race earlier. Looking more into true underdogs, there's not a lot I would look at past. I wouldn't look anywhere past the 200-1 mark. just because those are way too long of shots. They need massive help to win this race. Austin Cindric at 50-1, another playoff contender. Alex Bowman as well, squeaking into the playoffs. Great for him. Good to see him there. And he earned it and deserves it with how great and consistent he's been this season. Darlington, though, not really one of his tracks he's been great at. Carson Hocevar 50-1. Again, not really a track I have circled for Hocevar to do well. Not in the playoffs, of course, as well, but it's going to be tough. And then Ryan Preece 61. I'm not sure about. He didn't show that pay. He was 30-1 to open. Now he's 60-1. I'm not quite sold on him. But there's two guys that I haven't mentioned yet, and those are two Toyotas of Ty Gibbs and Eric Jones. Ty Gibbs I'll start with at the 55-1 number. He has a runner-up finish at Darlington. He finished top 10 in the spring this season. Any chance the 54 could take to get a win at this point would be nice for that team. And I think Darlington's one of Gibbs's most strong tracks. He races well here. 55-1 is very undervalued for a Joe Gibbs Racing entry. And I think it's just time for him to get a win at some point. And this would be one of the tracks that Ty Gibbs finds a way to get it done. Still has to beat out the favorites, like I've mentioned countless times already. It's going to be tough for that team, but 55-1 is worth putting a max a unit on as well. As for Eric Jones at 80-1, of course he's won the Southern 500 in 2022, and the Legacy Motor Club has kind of gotten their footing in the last couple of races and have shown good pace on multiple different tracks. Eric Jones always is a factor at this track with his resume at Darlington Raceway, and specifically in the Southern 500, 80-1. And I know, again, it's Legacy Motor Club we're talking about, but if things fall right for that team, I think they could find a way to get it done, potentially. Now, I mean, I have a lot on my card already. There's not quite room for Eric Jones at the moment. So getting him on the card, I mean, he started way in the back in this race in the summer, or correction, in the spring, I think 34th, and was able to finish 17th and work his way up. If he gets any good qualifying at this track, watch out for Eric Jones in this one. 80-1, you can get it at a great price now, or you can wait and he'll probably be around a 40-1, possibly, maybe a 35 or 50-1. It's going to go up. I don't think it's going to stay at 80-1 much longer. Hell, even if I record as I'm recording on Wednesday, as it comes up on Friday, it might be even lower than that as the episode comes out. So keep in mind, 80-1, BetMGM, that's his number there. Again, not going to go way deep into the rest of the underdogs. Those guys, I don't think, stand a chance at this track, unfortunately. Again, unless the skies open up, they're in the lead, or the fuel mileage bails them out for a great finish as well. Great strategy could play as well. So going into my official card, once again, William Byron is my favorite pick at plus 650. Going to take him at the 3 units. He's based off of Caesar's Sportsbook. Chase Briscoe 13-1 with Joe Gibbs Racing at 2.5. He has the best. He has third best odds of the Gibbs group, and 2.5 units off him would be great off of DraftKings. Chris Buescher 22-1, also off BetMGM. He's run well again at this track. I think he can continue that momentum going into the Southern 500, and I think he's just thirsty for a win, much like he was when he won at Watkins Glen. Bubba Wallace, 20-1 at 2 units. He's had weeks to prepare for this race. He is ready, I think, and he can put on a show come Sunday night at the Southern 500 in Darlington, South Carolina. And then I'll add a 5th. I think Ty Gibbs' value is too much not to take right now at about a unit bet. And I take his odds also off of DraftKings. Doesn't make sense not to take him right now before his odds skyrocket possibly to a 25 or 30-1 valuation. So 55-1 Ty Gibbs. I know Ed Lane will be happy somewhere in the world, and I think I think he can get the job done there. Now, looking at the props, I'm going to go over it briefly. Brad Keselowski, top 10 is even money, plus 110 pretty much. Double your money off Brad Keselowski getting a top 10. It just makes perfect sense to do at this juncture because you look at other top 10 numbers for some of the odds-ons. You have Buescher's minus 115 and Bubba Wallace is minus 120. You get an even number with a Ross Chastain who's done well here before. I think he could get it done, but I think plus 110 just squeaking out a little bit more value out of that. I think it's worth every second of it. If we're betting Ty Gibbs to win, we better bet him for a top 10. He's plus 220, which is insane off of FanDuel. I think you can make advantage of that right now. And Gibbs, absolutely, as long as he's not involved in a wreck. I think he was involved in a wreck last season and did not get a good finish in this race. He's shown pace at Darlington in the past. He's going to get it done, I think. Makes sense. You can even tack on his top 5 at plus 750, 7.5 to 1. That's better than the odds to win for your favorites. 1 unit there. You could possibly do 2. Make it spicy a little bit. Try to get it done. Ty Gibbs. I think people are not looking at him to do well at this race, and they're gonna get burned for not having him on the card. So have all 3 of them from win to top 5 to top 10 on the card. Would be nice. And finally, I have Byron at a top 3. He's my favorite to win. I think he's going to get at least the top 3 in this race. And at plus 170, which shares second best value, I think, with Ryan Blaney, and if I'm not mistaken. Correction, no, that's Denny Hamlin that has a plus 170 as well. William Byron, I think, will do well in this race. This is one of his best tracks in the schedule. I'm going to roll to the Xfinity Series, who will be in Portland. And I'm going to copy and paste what I did at Watkins Glen. William Sawalich is underrated still, I think, at this track, or at road course racing in the Xfinity Series in general. And he opens up as a plus 550. Now, that's half the odds he had going into Watkins Glen when he was 11 to 1, and it ended up going lower after the episode concluded. And that one, when we uploaded it and then posted it Friday, he was even lower once the weekend began or was about to begin. Books kind of caught on to that. And I think they're right to have him at 5.5 to 1. I'd still put 2 units on it, though. That's same as putting a 1 unit bet at 11 to 1 that we put at Watkins Glen. And it just makes sense to continue on and keep pounding at that bet. I think makes perfect sense to keep William Sawalich on that. Connor Zilic, oh my gosh, he's probably going to win another race to break the Xfinity single season win record. Technically, shout out Parker Kligerman last week, by the way, at 10 to 1. I think was their hit in the Xfinity Series. We had Jeff Burton, and he was, oh God, we won't talk too much more about that race. But again, Parker Kligerman, congratulations there. Connor Zilic, minus 150 to win the race. You can't bet against that guy. You don't have an SVG. You have Will Brown in that race at 16 to 1 via DraftKings, I believe, if I'm not too mistaken. You have Joey Hand in that race too. I don't know which car he's driving, but he's out there. It's gonna be tough to beat Connor Zilic at his own game at any rate. I mean, 12 to 1 Austin Hill, 12 to 1 Sheldon Creed. Austin Hill might be the only one. Sam Ayre 6.5 to 1. Justin Allgaier 7.5 to 1. It's tough. It's a tough weekend to bet the Xfinity Series in terms of a winner. But even you can go top 3. His top 3, William Sawalich, is 11 to 1. Just saying, for that matter. Austin Green's top 5 was about 7.5 to 1 as well. I like betting having Austin Green bet on the table, but I'm not quite sure if he can get all the way up there and past some of the heavy hitters like Sheldon Creed and Austin Hill, who are more of an even to top 5 in this one. So that's what I think about Xfinity. I'm just going to roll again with the William Sawalich bet and hope it sticks. That'll do it for this episode of Through the Gears. Thanks again for joining us for recapping the best bets going into the Southern 500. If you want more of the Frontstretch Podcast Network, tune in to shows like the Pit Straight, where we had the winner of the Snap-on Milwaukee Mile 250 and Christian Rasmussen on the show. Thanks again to Ed Carpenter Racing, everyone involved in that to get us on the show. Great episode to listen to, with Michael Massey and Tom Blackmer joining as analysts with the winner of Milwaukee going into the final race at Nashville next week. I will be there along with a lot of our IndyCar team, so tune in to all the coverage out there. Also, be sure to check into the Happy Hour, where we had Peter Strada on the show, as well as boss man Tom Bowles joined as well in place of Dalton Hopkins. We also had Michael Massey and Brian Nolan covering Happy Hour and the biggest news going into the NASCAR playoffs and after that 4-wide thriller at Daytona. Also, be sure to check into Bringing the Heat with Trey Lyle to check out more of this week's coverage of Daytona and more. That'll do it from here. Follow me at Wyatt W Racing and follow Frontstretch at Frontstretch and at Frontstretch Open Wheel for open wheel content, and all over social media on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, and Instagram at frontstretch.com. That'll do it for this episode. Thanks again, and let's make some tough money at the track too tough to tame at Darlington Raceway. Let's do that again. And let's make some tough money at the track too tough to tame.